This video is long overdue. We did the Ragnarok dungeon, we did the wooden key boss, and now we're doing the stone key boss. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. These videos take months and months to coordinate and make, and on that note, all the artists, music composers, and voice actors will be in the description, so check them out. One last thing before we start. I read every single comment I see, so feel free to comment on this video or any past video, and let's get to this new key boss. If the wizard has completed Zafaria, they will get a summoning from an old friend.
As the eldest member of the council, it's my duty to tell you that you are eligible for one of the highest honors in Zafaria. Come speak with me at once.
We are called back to this level 75 difficulty quest to Zafaria. Zafaria is a world with no real additions since the original storyline, so I thought this was a great place for us to revisit. Even if there's another key boss here, that one is kinda lame and only drops one mount, so I thought we could do better.
Hello again, wizard. I'm glad you made it back. After Morgan's conquest of Zafaria, many tribes are looking for new members. It seems a certain tribe has had their eyes on you.
At this point, every school will have a different tribe member to talk to. Here are all the tribe chieftains in what school they represent. My wizard is Life, so let's pretend for now that we're doing the Life version of the quest.
To join our tribe, you must follow a customary ritual. Go to the drum jungle and find a sacred blue leaf. If you are worthy enough to find it, come back here.
So Life has us going to the drum jungle, but all the other schools will go to different places in Zafaria and search for their specific items.
You feel the power of the leaf. Its ancient whisper calls to you.
We head back to the crown. This quest is quite spiritual, and I did my best to get a feel for African tribal culture and mythology.
I see you are indeed worthy, but to truly join the tribe, you must partake in ritual combat. I will be waiting for you on Sundays to test your worth.
To the waterfall of ancestors you go. You can fight any chief, but you need to defeat yours to become a true member of the tribe. Ugh, I'm getting too old for this. Good luck, wizard. I'll see you there.
So we head up to where the key boss would be. As Kakenya explained, each day would have a different school. There are 7 schools and 7 days of the week. Any wizard with the quest can do any school, but you have to beat your school's boss to actually finish the quest. And there would be some kind of symbol on the tent or the ground to show what school the boss is today. Also, there could be certain events where perhaps you could go in and the person that uses the key can choose what school they wanted. That's just an idea as well. We head on the sigil, and that boat takes us to a magical place behind a waterfall. Here we use the stone key to get past the water and emerge on the other side.
Welcome to the sacred waterfall, home of the ritual combat. Here may the ancestors judge those before them and find them worthy.
This dungeon quest's name is Call of the Ancestors. The battle arena on this waterfall is of course inspired by a similar battle in the Marvel movie Black Panther. Now we fight the chief, and every single school is different, so buckle up. For the bosses, some things stay the same. Every single chieftain summons 3 ancestor spirits to help them in battle. Each of these ancestors has 13,500 health, 10% damage, 5% pierce, and 10% resist with no boost. This battle will also be turn-based, like in the arena. Not only that, but this battle will also be a quick match. Every 2 rounds, everyone in the battlefield will gain 10% damage. This is indicated by a ceremonial drumbeat from the crowd. Each boss will be immune until the ancestor minions die. If a wizard is to flee, then their space is occupied by a friendly ancestor who passes every turn and is immune and therefore cannot be killed. Basically, don't flee, you cannot come back. Each boss has different likes and dislikes that we will get into. Just know that likes affect both parties and dislikes will only affect the wizard. We will first start with Monday's Myth boss and its ancestors. Of course, this boss has all the cheats listed above, along with having 6,000 health, 20% damage, 10% pierce, 80% myth resist, and 40% storm boost. This boss will cast the new spell, Humongo Frog, Ninja Pigs, and the Rat Magician. Like every other boss, this one has likes and dislikes. The crowd for this boss will like traps. Any ally or enemy that casts a trap will have that trap get a 5% bolster from the crowd cheering. The crowd dislikes negative charms like weaknesses and plague. If any of these is cast, then the wizards will receive a blinding light. Remember, as stated before, likes affect both the wizard and the enemies, but dislikes only apply for the wizard. So that was Monday's Myth boss, and we'll get on to its drops before we go to Tuesday. Every boss has a slight chance to drop a new mount. The mount is the Pride Rock mount, and looks like the Pride Rock from the Lion King. This mount would move similar to those vine mounts and would grant the wizard 40% movement speed and 10% block. Yeah, I know 10% block might seem like a lot, and perhaps it is, but block is broken and a useless stat, so maybe this might help it a bit. Plus the mount is rare and the boss is not super easy, so people would be rewarded to farm it. The next drop is a wand. Now for the picture of stats here, I have a generic wand, but of course Myth will drop the Myth only wand. Before we explain stats, which are the same for every school, I just want to mention that each wand will give their opposite school's wand hit. Balance gets balanced, unfortunately. It will also give 2 new spell cards for the new spells. Now let's talk about the stats. First off, I chose to use the old UI design because that will always have a special place in my heart and I find it easier to understand. Secondly, you might be wondering what that new symbol is. That symbol is the scaling symbol. The wand you see now assumes the wizard is level 75. The symbol to the right shows how much increase will happen every time you hit another 10 level mark. At the level 80, you become an Archmage, and you will get 1 more pierce, 10 more critical, and 1 more damage. At max level of 130, you will get 6 times that value to the right, now shown in orange. So together you will get 13 pierce at max, 85 critical, and 7 damage. Of course, you also get a power pip, a square jewel, 1 hits for the opposite school, and 2 cards of the new spell. We'll talk about the Myth spell in a bit, but first let's discuss the wand. Scaling gear has such a high potential. The ability for gear to get better along with the wizard is such a cool concept. Of course, not everything should scale because farming new gear is super fun, but it was just too cool a concept to pass up. Also, this wand is the premier pierce and damage wand while still having critical. With that out of the way, we move on to the pet. This pet is based on the Ninki Nanka, and like the wand, also gives 2 spell cards. Dragon of the Swamp is 8 pips and will steal all positive blades from one enemy and then do 723 damage to all over 3 rounds. Keep in mind that these spells only exist on the wand and on the pet, so they cannot be enchanted. That is a huge factor to these spells, that you cannot put any kind of epic or any other enchant onto them. Also, anything new in this game will have people complaining it isn't balanced, so just have fun with the concept.
For the animation of this spell, a swamp will grow around the battlefield. The creature will emerge and roar. This will steal the blades from the target and then give them to the wizard. The creature then dives underwater. The The blades and traps are used, and the creature will whack its tail across all of the enemies, leaving a DOT. The creature then vanishes back into the water.
The Ninki Nanka was a great choice for a myth spell. It is an animal with the head of a horse, a long giraffe-like neck, and the body of a crocodile. I wanted to use the swamp and aquatic nature of this creature in the spell, and I think it turned out great. That is it for Myth Monday, the boss and its drops. This was the longest explanation for a day since we had to introduce the wand and the mount, so let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday is fire. Remember, this boss will have the same type of minions and cheats as any other boss. This means that the battle will still be quick match and turn-based. Now, this boss also has 5,250 health, 25% damage, 10% pierce, 80% fire resist, and 40% ice boost. This boss will use the new fire spell, Fire Dragon, Power Link, and Detonate. The likes for this boss are also traps, and like the myth boss, any trap cast will be bolstered by the crowd by 5%. This fire boss, however, does not like shields. Any shield cast by the wizard will result in a 25 pierce blade on every enemy. If this boss is defeated, it will drop the mount, the wand, and the pet like every other boss. On its wand, it will be an ice wand hit and 2 cards for the fire spell, of course. With that in mind, the fire pet is a flaming lion. This also gives 2 cards of the fire spell, Solar Mane. This 6 pip spell is a heal that does 100 healing and then 775 healing 2 rounds later. This spell is very much like Burning Rampage, but a heal. And you might say, Eric, but fire is already so good it doesn't need a heal. Well, ice needs a nerf and life needs a buff, but like, whatever. The game doesn't really care about needs or not needs. This is all for fun, and I think this is a good concept for a fun fire-related heal. Also, any school can get access to good healing gear, a life mastery, and this little spell called Pigsy. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's crazy good. Anyway, animation time.
A cub walks into the shot standing on a rock. It starts to run forward and leaps into the sun. It emerges again as a great flaming sun lion. The sun lion rears its mighty head and roars, healing the target. The sun then grows and covers the screen, ending the spell.
So you really thought that I would do an African-themed expansion and not have a major Lion King reference? We've had 2 already, but I think that's kind of where it will stop. Regardless, the lions of Africa's savannas were an easy choice for a spell. Having a flaming lion was amazing, and I guess it is now the big brother to the baby Firecat spell. The spell was also loosely based on the Pyro Pokemon, except with actual flames on its mane and tail. Wednesday time, and it's ice. Now you might notice that both fire and ice bosses are rhinos. I call these sister tribes. They are the same animal, but of course they have opposite schools. Myth and Storm as well, as life and death both have this duality. Poor Lonely balances on its own though. Ice's Chieftain has 7,000 health, 10% pierce, 80% ice resist, and a 40% fire boost. I'll say this one last time, but this boss and every other boss has the ancestor minions and all of the cheats maintained at the beginning of the boss section, like being turn-based, quick match, immune until minion death, etc. To save time with the 4 bosses after, I won't bring up these past overarching cheats again, but know that they're all there. This boss likes to cast spells like the new Ice Spell, Legion Shield, Snow Angel, and Handsome Fomori. It also specifically likes shields. If a shield is cast, the crowd will bolster it by 5%. However, blades are not liked. Any blades cast will get an AoE enfeeble on the wizards. This can be Aegis protected. This boss will drop the mount and the wand along with a cute little baby antelope pet. This pet gives 2 cards of the ice spell, Chilled Grasslands. For 6 pips, ice will get a 15% true heal of their max health. This cannot be crit or cast on yourself. True healing means that no matter what, they are getting that heal. No incoming or outgoing or infection or doom and gloom will affect this heal. Blah blah, ice is already OP, I know. Don't think you were smart by bringing this up. This is just for fun, and a percent heal is a cool idea. Also, I think having this spell only be able to affect an ally, not yourself, is an interesting idea too. So Africa, of course, isn't all desert like it's stereotypically depicted, but that doesn't mean that it has lots of, if not any, snow. However, it does have antelope that could have perhaps traveled down from the top of snowy mountains.
This spell starts with an empty desert radiating distorting heat waves. In the distance, an antelope walks towards the camera. Each step from its hooves leaves icy footprints in the sand. The antelope sends icy wind across the desert, which swirls around the wizard and heals them. The creature turns around and leaves into the distance. The spell fades.
This is up there with Thor. The Life Siblings in Hell is one of my favorite spell animations that we have done. Anyway, everything from the contrast of heat and cold and the colors that depict that to the setting and noble nature of the beast really make this spell simple yet unique and special. Also, this spell is inspired by a famous scene from Lawrence of Arabia, a brilliantly shot scene where a figure in the distance goes from a silhouette to a man up close. This builds suspense in a great way and translates really well to the spell animation. Now we get to Thursday, the day for death. This boss specifically has 6,500 health, 15% damage, 10% pierce, 80% death resist, and a 40% boost to life. It will cast spells like the new death spell, Bad Juju, Deer Knight, and Death Ninja Pigs. So it casts a few negative charms, and that is because the boss likes negative charms. If a negative charm is cast in the crowd, will boost that charm up 5%. As a death boss, of course, the dislike here is healing. Any heal will have the crowd putting a mass infections on the wizard. This boss obviously drops the mount and the wand with the new spell, along with the pet that also gives the spell. The pet is a little voodoo doll and gives the spell Corrupt Witch Doctor. This 8-pip spell will deal 900 death damage over 3 rounds to self for 1200 death damage over 3 rounds to all enemies. In a very voodoo fashion, the wizard will hurt themselves to damage the enemy even more.
A witch doctor appears in the night and holds up its totem voodoo doll. It turns to the wizard and damages them, charging the doll. It then uses that power to shoot bats that swarm the enemy and deal damage. The spell then disappears into a spoof of smoke.
This is a typical spell. Bats are common in Africa and are included as well as the spell using a voodoo witch doctor vibe. It uses the totem to damage the wizard, but then the totem is charged and really puts the hurting onto the enemies. Friday, the start of the weekend, brings us the most popular schools through the ages, the first of which is Balance. This boss will have 5,500 health, 20% damage, 10% pierce, 80% balance resist, and 40% spirit boost. It will cast spells like the new balance spell, Power Nova, Mana Burn, and Ninja Piglets. This boss will like blades, having the crowd bolster them by 5%. However, they will dislike feints. If you feint the enemy, then your team will get a mass feint placed on them. This boss, like all of the others, drops the rare mount and wand along with a pet. This pet is a prehistoric bird based on the Kogomodo. This pet gives a 6-pip spell, Prehistoric Painting. This spell will deal 650 balance damage and increase 1 charm and ward per ally by 10%. This will affect the latest charm and ward on each ally and will turn perhaps a 40% already sharpened Stormblade into a 50% blade. We wanted to make a balanced spell both offensive and supportive at the same time. Not only will this spell do damage, but it will also buff you and your fellow wizards. Usually enchants to blades and wards happen before the spell is cast, but this would allow for a cool new mechanic.
For this animation, we see a cave wall lit by a fire. The drawings on the wall start to shake, and the winged beast grows bigger. It then bursts out of the wall into the Kogomoto. This pterodactyl creature surges forward and stabs the enemy with its beak, dealing damage. It then turns to the wizard and flaps its wings, putting the 10% blade and shield buff on its allies.
The fact that a spell based on cave drawings coming to life isn't in the game is crazy, so we had to do it ourselves. The spell is super simple but looks good, and the colors against the plain orange and brown makes it pop even more. It's now Saturday and time for one of, if not the most popular schools, Storm. Storm's boss will have 4,700 health, 30% damage, 10% pierce, 80% storm resist, and 40% myth boost. This boss will cast spells like the new spell, Tempest, Catch of the Day, and Windstorm. Storms love blades, and if anyone casts a blade, then it will be bolstered by 5% by the crowd. The crowd also dislikes shields. In this fight, if one is cast by the wizard, they will use Virulent Plague to punish it. This boss drops the mount and wand like any other and its own pet, one based on the Groot slaying. This creature is depicted as an elephant with the snake tail, which comes out at night and guards gemstones. It is also said to travel by water. This pet gives the new storm spell, Creature of the Pit. The spell is 7 pips and hits twice, like Minotaur, doing 150 and then 720 storm damage. What makes this spell special though, is it can never fizzle. Not only does it have 100% accuracy, but it can also cast regardless of a stun, dispel, or mantle. When it casts, it will take off the dispel or the mantle, but cast through it anyway, proving it to be a great counter to those kinds of debuffs. When I make a new spell or gear or boss, I want to add new mechanics into the game. I don't want to change the rules of the game, but bend them in new and interesting ways. This could mean stuff like this spell casting through stuns or dispels. It could also mean gear that scales its stats with your level. Sometimes it even means making boss fights act like turn-based quick match duels.
The spell opens on a close-up of the treasure in a desert. A hole opens up below the treasure, swallowing it up. A geyser of water then explodes, dealing damage to the enemy. From the hole of the treasure emerges the Groot slaying. Clouds gather around it and it hurls its spear at the same enemy. Lightning then strikes down the spear, damaging the enemy for a second time. The creature then burrows back into the sand.
This spell uses so much of the lore that we discussed earlier. We wanted to make the Groot slaying even more storm-based, but still keep aspects of its character like hoarding gems or its use of traveling by water. We get to our final school and final day of the week, Life Sunday. This is the day that I, a life wizard with the life quest, would have to challenge the boss to complete that quest. Again, this doesn't mean that I can't do any of the other day's bosses, but to actually turn in the quest and get the rewards that I would want as a life wizard, I would have to wait to Sunday to use my stone keys. This life boss has 6,250 health, 20% damage, 10% pierce, 80% life resist, and a 40% boost to death. It casts the new life spell, Forest Lord, Pigsy, and Goat Monk. The crowd in this fight likes shields and will bolster any shield cast by 5%. The crowd dislikes hitting, however. If a wizard hits, then they will get a choke casted on them. This can be stun blocked or convictioned. This boss, when defeated, will drop the rare Pride Rock Mount, the Scaling Wand, and a life pet based on the Eloko. This creature is one of an earthly dwarf that rings its bell to hypnotize enemies. This life spell is Bell Ringer. It hits 3 times. It deals 25, 75, and then 650 life damage. It also always has 15% pierce on it. Just a friendly reminder that these spells cannot be enchanted. Our goal with this spell was to give life a shield breaker in PvP that wasn't just a dot. When 1v1ing as a life, spamming shields is really hard to deal with. Life has no fire elf, poison, or frostbite to easily get them off. It has Spiny, a 10 pip spell, as the best way to deal with it without having to just shrike through it all. This spell not only hits 3 times and can take off 3 shields, but it also has 15% pierce on it, making it super useful in an area that life wizards usually struggle.
The animation starts with a blooming forest where creepy bugs shoot by. In the distance, a bell rings, damaging the enemy for the first time. From the brush, the Eloko appears. It rings its bell again, damaging the enemy for the second time. It then traps the enemy in the King's Sundew and leaps on them, dealing damage for the 3rd and final time. The spell then fades.
This spell just feels like it has the right animation. The Eloko is a scary beast that lures in its victim with its bell and then swallows them whole. Our Eloko isn't that brutal, but still keeps an air of creepiness and suspense when it deals damage with its 2 bell rings. It then uses the King's Sundew, which is a carnivorous plant in Africa that wraps around its enemies and sucks out nutrients. It's kind of like a Venus flytrap in this way. The Eloko uses this plant and then jumps on the wizard where the real damage is done. Now that all of the boss cheats and drops are out of the way, before we end the story, let's do a quick analysis of the fight. First thing to keep in mind is that these fights are turn-based, and everyone will gain 10% damage every 2 rounds, so plan around that. Also, do not flee because you can't come back. When actually fighting, the chieftain is immune until the spirit ancestor masks are defeated. This means kill the masks first and then the boss. While fighting, keep in mind the crowd's likes and dislikes for your school that you're facing. This fight really isn't too hard or even complicated, but it does have some really cool ideas. Let's finish up the story.
The wizard is victorious, accepted by the ancestors. Meet me back outside, young Victor.
We then go back to outside the Baobab Crown to talk to Kekenya one last time.
A breathtaking battle, young wizard. One for the ages.
Welcome to the tribe, young one. We are honored to have you.
And with that, this story is complete, and you are now a part of a Zafarian tribe gaining the badge Warrior of the Ancestors. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it through this video. Please check out the artists that helped me out. The Stone Key quest and event is so short, it's literally just getting an item and defeating a boss, yet we decided to make it so much more complicated. I had artists that had to work on 7 different bosses, 7 new spells, 7 animations for each spell, along with other artwork like new areas and the ancestor masks and stuff. I want to say that if you stuck around and enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment telling me what you think and what you found to be the coolest or most interesting part. Seriously guys, I read every comment and your support keeps these videos coming. We have one more boss planned, a level 130 platinum key boss, but after that we will be working on a new area / dungeon, and we also have started work on a whole new fan-made world. Please share this video with any of your friends who play Wiz, because it really helps me out. Again, this took so much work, but thank you guys again. I'll see you in my next video.
Fanmade, Okalimaya Fanmade, Okalimaya